So my name is Rick Anthony. I'm with Evasys. I run the West for Evasys here. And also with us, we have Herschel Shah. He's the VP of EPM for Evasys. So today we would like to cover a few topics. If you could go to the next slide, please. So our agenda today, first we'll take 2 minutes to discuss Evasys and who we are and qualify why we're having these meetings. And then we'll move right into support roadmaps and options. What happens if you do nothing? What options you have to upgrade to 11.2, what you get in 11.2, and more importantly, what is discontinued in 11.2, and then migrating to cloud. So this will be only high level. And then we'll do a demo of EPM Cloud, and then we'll discuss the agenda for the next session. So I'd like to also mention at this point that for those that have attended, for a bit of apology for not having you in the room and providing lunch, if you stay to the very end, we will be distributing Grubhub certificates to those that have attended, and you can use at your leisure, obviously. So let's move to the next slide, Herschel. So Evasys, we're a Oracle partner with well over 1,000 Oracle Cloud customers currently. In the last 12 months, we've taken 60 customers to cloud and had 50 go lives. So we've been quite busy. And within that area, we have well over 300 ERP and SCM customers, and over 800 in the HCM area, and 130 in Hyperion, with a good number in BI. So we do cover all the 7 pillars within Oracle, so we have a very good understanding and expertise around those areas, and we continue to expand on that as well. Currently, we've got well over 1,200 Oracle consultants dedicated to working with our customers in progressing their cloud, but also on-premise. And within North America, there is a heavy push, and we've seen continued growth of upwards about 300% year on. So to further qualify ourselves, we've got well over 20 awards over the last 2 years as being an Oracle partner, and most recently at Open World, we received Global HCM Partner of the Year, and in EMEA, we received a HCM Partner of the Year, and APAC ERPM Partner of the Year, and the UK and Ireland ERPM Partner of the Year. So that is a snapshot of us and our capabilities, so you have a better understanding. If you have any questions on these, please feel to reach out if you want to know specific industry expertise, which we do have as well. So I will now turn this over to Herschel, and he will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Rick. So, morning, everyone. My name is Herschel Shah, and I'm going to be talking for next 50 minutes about the EPM roadmap. And as part of the presentation, I'm also going to show you a quick highlight of the solution, how the application looks like when you move to the cloud. But yes, of course, the whole agenda is to discuss about the options that we have with the Hyperion on-premise. So let's talk about the support roadmap that Oracle has laid down for the on-premise EPM application. So there are multiple options that you have. Current version, which is 11.1.2.x, is coming to end of life by December 21, which means that you have to start exploring your options, whether to upgrade it or whether you want to move to the cloud or you want to continue with the current options. And with each of the options, what are the new functionalities Oracle is bringing in, what are the new challenges or that you are going to face if you decide on either of the approaches. So and this is a kind of a roadmap that Oracle has laid down for the on-premise applications. So if you see, you might be on 11.1.2.3 or 4 dot, and then there are subversions around it. So, and these are your standard set of functionality around different applications. Now, the next roadmap or next release, which Oracle has already introduced in December, which is 11.2. Oracle has come up with some really good functionalities around it. We are going to discuss those functionalities in detail in the coming slides. But yeah, these are kind of a roadmap which Oracle has laid down, and there are also some future consideration which Oracle has to continue enhancing the on-premise applications. But of course, it is not going to be as fast as what you see in the cloud environment. So if you see the latest upgrade or latest release is coming after almost 5 years. I'm not talking about a sub releases, I'm talking about a major upgrade. So again, the new functionalities, the new patching, new set of information Oracle is bringing on the on-premise application, but the time duration is quite big. So yeah, I'll not go into the detail of each of the functionality. We are going to share the deck with you guys so that you have this information. Now let's talk about the options that you have. So as I mentioned, we have the latest version, which is 11.2.1.2.4, which is coming to end of life by December 21. So again, as I said, you have multiple options, and depending upon your organization need, depending upon the uh, your future vision, you will decide the options that you have. So let's talk about the first option, which is we do nothing. So we'll continue as it is, uh, and we use Hyperion application as business as usual. So currently, if we do nothing around the Hyperion application, we do not need to worry much about the change management. We do not need to worry much about what is changing. So again, there is no changes on the user side as well as on the administration side. However, in future, when you plan to upgrade your operating systems, then at that point of time, you may need to check whether the upgraded OS is compatible with the current Hyperion version or not. So let's say if you are currently on OS 2012, yes, 11.1.2.4 will work. But let's say when you try to upgrade it to the next releases, yes, you need to check whether it is compatible with the new OS or not. So I'll just take a pause. I see a chat. What we'll do is we'll take the questions on a later stages so that we don't interrupt. So just a second.
Hey, Herschel,
Yeah.
I don't see any open questions.
Okay, sure.
We're good.
I just.
But if you wouldn't mind, please use the QA function as opposed to the chat function. Makes it a little bit easier to corral everything.
Right. Thanks, Lisa. So yeah, so that's the compatibility issue that may come up in the future. So again, that's one of the consideration you may want to have at this point of time. The next piece of things is the missing out on the new functionalities. So as I mentioned, the new functionalities are being introduced in the on-premise application on a longer interval. So it is not something like as soon as some functionality is available in the market, or the new change that may come up on the regulatory side, that will get incorporated in the Hyperion application. So if we talk about on-premise applications, it may take 2 years, 3 years. So you may want to wait till the next upgrade to get the new functionality. And sometimes Oracle may not release the new functionalities on the on-premise application, because most of the Oracle investment is going onto the cloud. So yes, there are chances that you may miss out on some functionalities which is required to make some which is which may probably help you to increase the efficiency, which may help you to improve the return on investment on the software that you have done. Hardware. So again, you all will have an hardware on which you must have deployed the Hyperion applications. So with the upgrade, with the current set of applications, you may want to think about upgrading the hardware. So again, that's a cost which you will have to bear going on, and at that point of time, you also have an option to move to the infrastructure as a cloud. So let's say if you do not want to continue with your current hardware, there are options that you can subscribe for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and move your Hyperion application on the cloud. The last but not the least, the restricted support. So let's say if you decide not to upgrade your Hyperion application, then what you are going to have. So currently, you will get all your support, everything from Oracle, with the support charges that you are paying year on year. But let's say post December 21, what you are going to get is just a sustaining support, which you see as a second column. So you are going to get the access to your support.oracle.com. You are going to get 24/7 assistant. You are going to get the access to the knowledge base that Oracle has. However, if you see the other line items, you are not going to have that in the sustaining support. So any critical patches, any changes as far as tax, regulatory, or legal changes are concerned, any changes on the certification side are not going to be covered as part of the sustaining support. It doesn't mean it is going to get end. So what Oracle has come up with is the premier support. So let's say with an additional charges, with an additional fee, if you want to continue with all those functionalities or all those features on the support, you can continue. But yes, for that you may need to pay an extra support fees to the Oracle. So I'll take a pause now. I'll check if there is any question.
Thank you, Harsha. You raise a very good point here in the Premier support. And this is oftentimes when products go into sustaining support, they cut off quite a bit of the services that were something that they would offer during the previous. So Premier support is, and we don't want to scare much, but the costs increase significantly. So you have to then look at what the cost benefit is in having that or moving forward to the next version, which is obviously 11.2 or cloud.
Yeah, so there is a question from Jennifer. Yeah, so your understanding is right. So post December 2021, if you decide not to upgrade, then yes, you can pay a premier fee and extend your support. Okay. So I'll move to the next piece now. Yeah, so the second option is you decide and upgrade to 11.2. Now, again, with 11.2, you are going to get some new functionalities. So yeah, that's also an option available. And once you upgrade it to 11.2, I think the support which you are going to get is up to December 2030. So yeah, you are getting almost 10 years of extension when you on the support when you decide to upgrade to 11.2. Now let's understand why 11.2 is important, because it is one of the major upgrade as far as planning and budgeting is concerned. There are quite a few functionality which are getting added and which are getting discontinued in 11.2. So if I talk about the financial management, So these are some functionalities which are getting discontinued. So let's say if you are using the BI analytics on top of HFM, those are the functionality which are getting discontinued. Space analytics link on the financial management side. Then there is a reporting for the solvency and the quantitative management is getting discontinued. So again, these are some advanced functionality which Oracle is discontinuing. On the planning and budgeting side, if you see, there are major changes. So there were standard modules like workforce planning, capital planning, project financial planning, the strategic finance planning. All these standard modules are getting discontinued. So again, if you have these modules deployed, then you may want to think about how you are going to handle this once you upgrade it to 11.2. Similarly, offline planning, which was supported up till current version, is coming to end of life. And again, simplified user interface. So uh, in the 11.1.2.4, Oracle released the simplified user interface, which was more or less looking like the cloud version, but they are not going to continue with that, and they are going to discontinue when you upgrade it to 11.2. On the financial management side, the disclosure management is coming to end of life, as well as the EPM mobile, if you are using, that's coming to end of life. So these are some key functionalities which are getting discontinued when we talk about 11.2 upgrade.
Harshal, we do have a question in the chat. Could you please expand a little bit? There's no option to pay extra and extend Premier support beyond 2021. Is that correct? Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
So on the Premier support, yes, there is an option to pay extra and extend the support. But yeah, that's something which is an additional fee. I already covered that, Lisa. So yeah, done.
So, and also an understanding on that previous slide is the difference between a upgrade to 11.2 ranges on the difficulty of if you are dependent on those particular functionality in 11.1, that's not going to be extended into 11.2. So it will be much more of a major upgrade if you are trying to get that same functionality in 11.2 that you had in 11.1 if you are dependent on some of those other functionalities that won't be extended. Just want to make sure that's clear.
So with the upgrade, it's important to understand what we are going to get. So in HFM, if you are using the financial management piece for consolidation and reporting, I think there is one interesting functionality which is getting introduced, which is called automated consolidation. Now, what Oracle has done, using the bandwidth of the hardware, you will get an option where system would understand that there is an idle time available on the hardware side, and if you want system to run the consolidation during that time, system can run it. So assume a scenario where you have loaded all the data, and then you want system to run the consolidation without making any adjustment, just to do a kind of a quick analysis. Then there is no need for user to get into the system. So you can actually configure an HFM environment to run the consolidation automatically. So that's one of the new functionalities which are getting introduced as part of the application when you upgrade to 11.2. Similarly, updating the metadata is becoming much easier. So earlier, if you want to update any hierarchy, maybe entity hierarchy or a cost center hierarchy or account hierarchy, you may want to export the entire hierarchy, you make the changes in the file, and then you upload it back. Now Oracle has introduced the web-based metadata editor, wherein you can actually get smart view kind of a view in the application itself, and you can make the mass update in the metadata. So these are a couple of really good functionality which are getting introduced on the financial management. On the planning and budgeting side, yeah, these are the new functionalities. Again, this is just a summary of the functionalities. There is a detailed guide which is available on the what new Oracle is going to introduce in 11.2 and what is going away. So on the planning and budgeting front, Oracle has introduced a really good functionality called Smart Push. This is also available on the cloud, but where you have multiple BS or AS or cubes, and if you want to push data from one cube to another, currently we used to do it through, let's say, XREF or XWrites. Now there is a functionality called Smart Push, so which is a kind of a tick box. So let's say if you want to push data as soon as some data gets saved or some data gets calculated from one cube to another, or like manpower cube to finance cube or capital cube to finance cube, then you can just do it. You do not need to write a specific rules for that. Valid intersection is more of a cross validation functionality where you can create a dependent hierarchy on the dimension side. So if you want a value to be appeared based on some other dimension, then you can define kind of a valid intersection in the planning and budgeting piece. Now let's understand what is going to get changed when you upgrade to 11.2 on, and what are kind of negatives. So on the, if we talk about HFM, if we talk about consolidation, it is more of a technical upgrade. So let's say if you are comfortable with HFM environment now, there is no much change of on the business side of it. Yes, there is some changes on the admin side of it, but for the business, it is not going to make much of a change because end user functionality is not getting changed at all. However, on the planning and budgeting side, there are major changes. So, and let's say if the customers, if you guys are using EPMA application, then there is kind of a major change that you need to do in your current application. So EPMA is being completely replaced by the DRM application. So again, it you do not need to subscribe for DRM. It will come as part of your current arrangement only. But yes, the entire structure, the way you manage the metadata will get changed. And yeah, since it is a kind of a change in the structure, it is going to have a drastic effort when you talk about migrating to 11.2. So that's the major change. And yes, there will be a mandatory upgrade of SBase to 19C. So on the planning and budgeting side, it is going to be a major change when we talk about upgrade. If you are using, let's say, EPMA applications, or let's say standard set of modules. So any questions so far? Cool.
Well, there are no questions in the chat.
Okay, cool. So let's understand if you okay, there is a question. So let me take that first.
They want to know if 19C has been released yet.
Not yet, but yeah, it will be released soon. So cost of an upgrade to 11.2. So let's say if you decide to upgrade your on-premise environment to 11.2, then what are the costs which you may want to consider, to decide your upgrade strategy. So let's say there is an investment of additional dollars to upgrade. So whether it's HFM or HPB, whether it's internal, external, but yes, you have to spend time and money to upgrade your Hyperion environment to the next version of Hyperion. So yes, if you have HFM, the efforts are pretty less. But if you have planning and budgeting, then it's kind of more efforts, both from the internal organization as well as from the admin side as well. Internal change management. So yeah, there are some changes which is happening on the maintenance side, on the management of application side. So yes, there is some new pieces which you need to learn, or you need to upskill yourself. So for example, the EPMA application, right? It is completely getting discontinued. It was one of the major functionality which Hyperion had. Now, if you decide to move to 11.2, you have to upskill yourself for the DRM applications or DRM functionalities, or you may want to invest in some additional skill set who understand the DRM piece. Of course, there will be an hardware and OS upgrade. So Oracle has released the compatibility list with the 11.2. So you may want to, you may need to upgrade your hardware as well as OS at certain point of time. Maybe not now, a year down the line or 2 year down the line, you will have to do this investment. I think we talk about the additional skill set on the planning and budgeting side. And yes, there will be an ongoing cost around the maintenance and the future upgrade. So if you decide to do this, the upgrade cost and efforts you are going to spend is not going to end, because let's say there is an 11.2 upgrade now. 3 years down the line, Oracle may release the next version of 11.3 or 11 or some major patch release. That point of time, you again have to come back and do the same piece of activity which you are going to do now if you decide to go with an upgrade option. So on the functionality and on the cost side, let's understand what you have. So currently with Hyperion on-premise, I think we talked about this cost that you are spending as of now on the system administration side. So let's say if you have one specific database administrator who is just managing Hyperion application. So again, that's the cost. Then there is an IT support on the Hyperion application, hardware cost, upgrades cost on the upgrade cost on the OS side as well as hardware side, and the security which you may want to apply on your current set of applications. Now, that's the cost piece. Let's talk from the business perspective. So when if you think from the business side, whenever there is an upgrade, if that upgrade is not completed in couple of days, it may impact overall business. So if you are using Hyperion application for your, let's say, reporting or for forecasting, and if you decide to go for an upgrade in that period, and if it is not completed in time, then it may impact the overall business. So again, whenever there is an upgrade, you have to consider all these perspectives. Outdated version, if we compare to the cloud application, so again, even if you upgrade your Hyperion application to 11.2, you are not going to get all the functionality which Oracle is offering on the cloud environment. And the main reason is most of the Oracle investment nowadays is behind the cloud application. So new functionalities are going to get on cloud first, maybe 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, once it's getting old, it may come on the on-premise application. But yeah, the new functionality, the compatibility with all the uh, OS's compatibility with all the browsers are going to be applied to cloud first as compared to on-premise applications. If you see the last piece, the no emerging technologies. So with the cloud environment, we are just not talking about having a back office application on the cloud. We are also talking about use of the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, RPAs, to be integrated with back office applications, so that the business gets a real value out of the application. So as part of our demonstration or the second webinar, which is followed after a couple of weeks, we are going to show how some of the organization has leveraged the AI applications like chatbot to integrate with the Hyperion application on cloud and get the information on the fly. So again, this is really interesting pieces which you are going to hold back if you are continuing with on-premise applications. So I think we yeah, so any question before I move to the third piece, which is a cloud migration? I'll just go back and see question answer.
We don't have any questions right now.
Awesome. Thank you. And then the third option is migrate to the cloud. So I'll quickly touch base on the EPM applications, migrate to the cloud piece. We are going to have a detailed discussion about the cloud migration option in the second part of this webinar, which is going to happen in the on 24th of March. You are going to get an invite wherein we will talk about this option in detail, the licensing information. We are going to talk about which are the modules you are going to get if you decide to move to the EPM cloud. Today, we are going to focus more about, I'll try to show you the cloud application so that you can actually compare your on-premise with the cloud application in terms of look and feel, in terms of overall functionalities. Before we do that, let's understand why you should consider the cloud migration as an option. So first of all, again, there are two major consideration for any organization to move for considering EPM cloud as an option. So first and the foremost thing is the feasibility. So we talked about continuing as is. We talked about migrating to 11.2. Now sometimes when we help customer to migrate on premise to the cloud, whether it's ERP applications, EPM applications, it becomes a challenge because they may have done so many customization on premise and they want to continue with the cloud application. So one of the consideration that you have to do is whether your app whether the cloud application includes all your features and functionality that a current application has. So, and again, what we do is we do not ask you just lift and shift to cloud. What we'll do is we'll do an assessment of your current application. We understand that which are the functionalities you are using, and then we give you a report that okay, out of this functionality you are going to get, let's say, 100% of the functionality on the cloud. On top of it, let's say you are going to get 20, or let's say if there is any customization which you have made specifically on on-premise, then we'll say okay, this is not how it's going to happen on the cloud, but yeah, there is another way of doing the similar uh, solution on the cloud. So yes, for you guys, it is important to understand whether you have all the functionality which you have currently on premise and whether it's available on cloud or not. And then you also may want to check about the internal IT policies. So again, sometimes uh, cloud movement is restricted in certain organization because of the data privacy issues. So maybe 3 or 4 years back, healthcare organizations were reluctant to move their information on the cloud because of the HIPAA compliance. But now, since the data centers of Oracle are HIPAA compliant, we have many healthcare providers moving their information on the cloud. So yes, that could be one of the option that you want to consider. And the next is desirability of the organization to move to the cloud. And again, whether it's the right time to move to the cloud. So again, let's say in a long term, if you're considering cloud as a strategy, but you do not, and there is a nervousness in the organization, because if you move your entire back office on the cloud at one point of time, there is a huge change management, and you may not be aware about the performance issue will have, because there is a nervousness and no one has seen the cloud. So maybe you may want to start with the EPM migration as an option, because it impacts only limited set of people. It impacts only a finance team or the people who are involved into the budgeting or consolidation process. And that's a way you can actually test the waters of the cloud application, and once you are satisfied, you may approach the bigger migration on the cloud. Again, the benefits which you are going to get are realistic and achievable or not. So this is another important point, because there are functionalities, there are thousands of features which are available on the cloud, but it is going to be used by your business users. That's the kind of analysis you may want to do before you decide to move to the cloud. And again, whether it is going to help your cloud strategy in the long run or not. So these are the two key consideration we want you to have when you decide, or if you decide to move to the cloud. And it's all about return on investment. So we have seen organization getting a return on investment in as less than 1 year, or for certain organization, it could be in 3 years. But yeah, we have helped organization to measure the return on investment when they invest on the cloud in absolute terms. So as part of our assessment program, as part of our implementation program, we'll understand what are the key consideration, what are the key efficiencies you are looking for with the cloud migrations, and then we'll decide some absolute terms with the which can actually measure the return on investment. This is a quick analysis. I'll not go into the detail, but yeah, why people choose cloud as an option. So again, this is a study which Evosys has done in uh, uh, for the customer. Evosys has helped migrated to the cloud. So again, most of the customers choose cloud as an option to reduce the total cost of ownership. But yeah, there are 20% of the people of the organization who actually wants to avoid the upgrades, and at that point of time they decide to move to the cloud. And just quick benefits around the cloud. Again, automatic updates on a monthly basis. So since it's a cloud environment, you do not need to worry about the updates, you do not need to worry about the upgrades. uh, Oracle does it for you. What you do is just do the testing on the update, that's it. uh, Consistent growth as far as features are concerned, the quick implementation. So let's say if you are on-premise customers, you can easily migrate it to the cloud. It doesn't require extensive implementation efforts as such. And yeah, the security is world class. I mean, if since it's an Oracle data center, you do not need to worry about the security. And again, it's mobile, so if you want, you can access it from anywhere. But if you want to whitelist, you can actually have the kind of whitelisting functionality as well. So with that, I'll move to the application demonstration. So I'll take a minute or so just to bring up the application. Meanwhile, if you guys have any question, just write it down on the Q&A box.
Herschel, right now we have no questions on the Q&A.
Okay. Can you see the application now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Now, this is a look and feel of the application. As you see here, it is completely changed from how it looks on the on-premise version. Let me maximize it. Yeah, you can actually change the background. You can actually change this logo. So again, changing the background, changing the logo on the on-premise application requires kind of an effort. Here it is pretty much straightforward. You just need to, you may want to just put a specific URL in the appearance, and your background and the logo will be changed. So again, the organization which wants a kind of your the own set of branding, then it's pretty much easy to do. So here you can just put the logo URL, here you just put the background URL, and that's it. The entire URL background will be changed. Also, many organizations sends out lots and lots of information as part of the budgeting process, as part of the forecasting process on email. So uh, let's say when let's say assuming your calendar year ends, or let's say if your financial year ends in April, or let's say March, okay, and you start your budgeting in September, uh, you may uh, send so many of information in terms of budgeting guidelines, in terms of some attachment, in terms of previous information on emails to the budget holders. Again, those emails are not being tracked. There are chances budget holder may not open it, and that's where a quick functionality of announcements get into the play, where you can actually define the different set of announcements in here. So as you see, whatever information you want to pass it on to the budget holders or the consolidation users, you can actually announce it on the application itself. So as soon as user logs in into the application, they will actually see what they need to do. Similarly, without navigating to anywhere, they can actually complete their task from the main screen. So let's say if a system will throw which are the tasks which are due today or which are overdue. So again, based on the timeline which you set, system will actually brings all the tasks in here. So if you see the users interfacing or users perspective, they do not need to navigate into any of the boxes or anywhere. If you compare it with a Hyperion on-premise application, they actually have to go to the task list, then complete all the tasks. And again, if they do not follow all those tasks, there are chances that your budgeting or the for consolidation is not complete. But here, they do not need to worry about going anywhere. It will come on the face of their user login. The way it is structured is different. So as far as the new functionalities goes, because I'm not going to go into the planning and budgeting from the solution side, because the functionality remains same. Okay, it's a S-based database on the planning and budgeting side, so it remains the same. But yes, the way it is done, the way it is configured is completely different. So let's talk about a budgeting process, a financial budgeting where you want to budget for revenue and expenses. uh, all these kind of dashboards which are by default available, again, user can configure it on its own. They do not need to come back to the IT, or they do not need to take the information in Excel and convert it into the charts. These all are available within the application itself. And it also provides multiple forms like driver based planning. So if organization does the driver based planning using multiple trends, all these options are available. So again, I'm sure you must be using some or other functionalities to do this. But yes, the way it is arranged is pretty impressive with the cloud applications. Again, so if I go into the hierarchy, so you can actually see the entire hierarchy in here. So you can actually drill down to the multiple level of hierarchy from here. So it is pretty much well organized. It is pretty much well informed. So any changes you make, all these charts and graphs are going to get updated automatically. All the drill through functionality remains as is. All the functionalities on the right click which you had remains as is. So there is nothing changing on the functionality side. Yes, there are some additional functionalities which are coming up. Okay, let me go to. And similarly, you will have workforce planning. You can do the compensation planning and everything. So all this remains as is. So if you see the forms and functionalities on the new hires, on the existing employees, at the project level, at the department level, all these functionalities which you had on the on the Hyperion planning and budgeting, it remains as is. Now, so this is more of a planning applications. I'll also try to show you the consolidation application, so that the organization which are on HFM, they can also have an understanding how the application looks like. As you see, this is an FCCS application. Mm. So the functionality remains same. The pane get changed based on the application in which you are. So as you see here, you'll have a consolidation process. So again, it becomes much simpler to manage your consolidation process. So let's say you have multiple hierarchies. You can actually manage your entire hierarchy from here. And then based on the consolidation method, based on the options which you select in here, system will do the consolidation. So let's say if I say I do not have a control in here, then which are the methods you want to do the consolidation with. So sometimes you have, let's say, 40% control, 40% ownership, but you do have a management control, and that's where you also want to do the consolidation. Then that option is also available, and based on the holding percentage or holding structure you'd set in here, system automatically calculate minority interest. Okay, I see a question, just a second.
Herschel, they're asking whether or not planning and FCCS are separate applications.
Yeah, so these are two separate applications, but let's say if you want to use both, it's a seamless integration. So let's say you have to log in into one application and you can actually navigate into both the applications. But yes, these are two different applications. And again, for the HFM or for the FCCS, it's a major change as compared to on-premise application. So if uh, I mean, those who are using the HFM environment must know that it is built on the RDBMS. It's built on the relational database, whereas the FCCS, the consolidation and close manager on the cloud, is on the S-base. So there is no relational database. So there is no rule file which is going to come in here. All the rules are predefined. What basically user just needs to put in the relevant data or the integrate data from the source system, trial balances, the chart of accounts, let's say if they want to pull the schedules, that's it. And then they just need to run the consolidation rules like translate or consolidate.
One more question, Harshal. Does that mean that all of the rules are predefined?
Yes, all of these rules are predefined. The only option you have is to change, not to make a change, but you can actually add a new rule, but you cannot run that rule individually. You have to run it along with either of these rules, what you see in here. So you cannot make any changes into this rule. Yes, you can add a new rule, but yes, it has to be run along with any of these rules. You cannot run it separately.
One,
And
one more
are,
question there?
yeah,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
are there changes in the HSF? So on the cloud environment, they have come up with a HSF application, so which is called Hyperion Strategic Finance. So on the cloud, it is called Strategic Financial Planning. So there is no change, but on-premise, if you decide to upgrade, HSF is getting discontinued. So on-premise, it is getting discontinued with the upgrade. On the cloud, yes, it is available. And it's the same as what you had on the on-premise with some enhanced functionalities. So yeah, and you have multiple validation forms and all those stuff which are available. So again, if you understand from the user's perspective, they have to complete just this 8 tasks, and once these tasks are complete, they just go into the reporting piece and can view their final reports.
One more question for you, Harshal. Will
Yeah.
HSF use S-base or a relational database for its primary database?
So on the cloud environment, it's all S-base. There is no relational database. Okay, so these are some standard set of reports which Evosys offers as part of the implementation. I'm sure if you are using any of the consolidation application, and if you have, let's say, multiple reports created, we also help you to migrate the entire reporting set on the cloud. So the financial reporting functionality remains as it is. The Hyperion Financial Reporting Studio, which was available on premise, now it is also available on the cloud. So if you see here, reporting web studio, it actually launches your reporting environment on the cloud. So you do not need to install on your application. And then again, users can create their own dashboards, drillable dashboards and all those stuff. So they can actually drill down from one chart to another. So again, what Oracle has done on the cloud environment is they have embedded some aspect of the BI in the EPM application. So earlier, where you used to integrate the BI applications on HFM or HPB, you do not need to do that. Some really interesting graphs and charts are available to be used on the application. It doesn't need you to create any kind of RPD or database tables. You can just make the changes right on the application. And let's say if you do not want to go on the chart, you can actually you can view the data in the table. So it's pretty much user friendly.
We have one more question. Reporting Web Studio, isn't this the same as what is in 11.1.2?
That's right. It's the same. So again, we had a limited time. I think the plan was to go into the deep dive when we decided to do this in person, but since we have 1 hour, I just wanted to touch base on the high level on this application.
We do have a question for you. Does Oracle carry over on-prem support license costs to the cloud?
Yeah, so I think what you may want to do with this. So there is an option available with the of license swapping, but you may want to get in touch with your Oracle rep, or probably we can get in touch with you guys after this call to explain the option that you may have. But yes, there is an option available of license swapping.
Harshal, just to do a quick time check, we have about 5 more minutes.
Yeah, so and I think I'm done on the application, so I'll quickly move on to the presentation now. And I know it was very quick since we had a limited time, but yeah, what we want to do on the second part of this webinar, which is going to which is scheduled on 24th of March, we are going to talk about the different approaches that you have of migrating to the EPM cloud. So again, it's not like a re-implementation. It's more of a migration, and it will help you to explore the new functionality of EPM. We are going to also explain you with the single licensing model in the cloud. You can actually take the benefits of 7 modules that Oracle has to offer. Then the TCO report. So Oracle has a calculator called total cost of ownership calculator. So wherein we will try to understand your actual cost of your ongoing support, your maintenance time, maintenance cost, your hardware cost, and we will compare it with the with the cloud environment, and then we'll give you a TCO report. So for individual organization, the report would be different, and it will give you an understanding of how much saving you are going to make if you decide to move to the cloud. And then we'll talk about the next innovative roadmap. So wherein I'll demonstrate a couple of use cases of digital assistant which are used along with the EPM applications, and we'll also talk about some advanced functionalities like IoT, and then followed with the next step. So that's the agenda for the next webinar. You guys will be auto-registered for the next webinar, and I would encourage you guys to attend that, because you're going to get much more information on the EPM cloud as part of the next webinar.
Thank you, Harshal. Thank you very much. And just as Harshal said, on the 24th will be the second webinar in part 2. And just covering on that is the TCO report. I know these were customized for you. These reports were based on estimations based on your current state that you have. This is generally an iterative process, but we'll cover those, and you'll have access to those TC reports as well. But in the interim, you may work with your Oracle reps that invited you to the webinar if you'd like to see those, and we can schedule one-off and one-to-one discussions around that and try to get a better understanding for you as well. I hope everybody enjoyed today's webinar, and again, apologies for the format change, turning into a more of a webinar. You do have our contact details. If you have any further questions, I know there's a lot of changes that are happening right now with Hyperion, and there was a lot of dependencies. We had the actual workshops, and there was a lot more discussion about the discontinuation of certain capabilities from 11.1 to 11.2. Please reach out to us, see how that might affect you and the upgrade directly, and then we can have more, again, personalized discussions. Thank you again for joining and your time, and be looking for that Grubhub voucher coming to you shortly.
Thank you.